Welcome to the Panthers postgame show. Kristen Balboni alongside Panthers legends Davis and Jonathan Stewart. And Stu, I'll start with you. 27-10 loss at home to the Seahawks. What was your biggest takeaway from this game?
The Seahawks is a really good football team. They're a playoff caliber team, and they showcased it, especially on defense. They understood their game plan going in, and it sounded like stopping the run was one of them. And I think they just really, stayed. They stayed on the gas, throughout the whole entire game. They didn't let off, even though the first half, 3-3, right, tie game. But they stayed within themselves. They stayed within their game plan. They didn't panic, and they ended up being victorious. I think that's the difference maker in between the Carolina Panthers, where they are now, and where they would want to be as far as sizing themselves up.
To me, this game just came down to missed opportunities. There were a ton of opportunities that we could have taken advantage of. Early in the game, Jaycee Horn had an opportunity to catch an interception to put us in scoring position, and it just didn't happen. And we never see Jaycee drop those kind of interceptions.
No.
Like, we've seen him make way harder interceptions. Derrick Brown having the opportunity to catch that interception that could have possibly changed the complexion. Also, the turnovers that we did generate got no points out of them. Seattle, when they got turnovers off of us, they scored points. That was the difference in this game, and I think their ability to tackle in the open field is ultimately what this game really came down to. They, like Stu talked about, they had their foot on the gas the entire time, but it really was, they were the more disciplined team. They were the team that came out and executed their game plan from a standpoint of like Coach Canales talked about in his interview, they played top down. They made sure that we couldn't get anything over the top, and they did a great job of coming up and making tackles time and time again. You've seen a lot of one-on-one tackles, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching the game. I'm like, are we ever going to break any of these tackles? And that was a true testament to what Seattle was able to do as a defense. You didn't see them miss very many one-on-one tackles yesterday.
No, they played well, and that's not to absolve the Panthers of what they did, but that's, every former player I've talked to, every analyst just said, look, Seattle is a really good team, and that defense is really good. And we're going to take a look at how that manifested in terms of the Panthers' offensive numbers. So really, season worst performance for the Panthers offense, as you would expect when you see some of these numbers. Just 139 total yards. Yards per play, 2.7. And guys, the big one that sticks out to me right here is the third downs, 1 for 11, Stu, on third down.
Yeah, you have to make sure that you're not getting behind the chains. And when we don't win on first downs, it condenses your playbook. And when you do that, you don't really necessarily, get an opportunity to find flow and rhythm within the play calling. I think Ja'Tavion Sanders going down earlier in the game ruffled some feathers as far as, what they were anticipating. You saw a lot more Jimmy Horn, in the packaging as far as the game progressed. But, when you talk about, moving the chains and finding that rhythm, that's the only way you can get a defense on their heels. Three and outs to, start the game off with, that doesn't really translate to, it doesn't translate to points, but it doesn't translate to a defense being able to, feel like they are being met with their efforts as well. The defense was out there the whole entire game in the first half. So the complementary football, we are hit and miss. We've been up and down throughout the whole course of the year, and hopefully this is the last time we say, go back and watch film and you learn from your mistakes, because that's what they do well. They learn from their mistakes very well week in and week out. Hopefully they can be able to stack, the good in the sense of, I feel like the next game they're going to win, right? Because that's been the pattern. So it's just one of those things, 1 for 11, your job is to convert. And I think, seeing how the Seahawks were able to convert, whether it was the third and long, the 3rd and 21, the penalty, right? That's on us. Tackling in space, that's on us. The huge plays, run after catches, you have to figure out ways to do those types of things on offense because you're taking what the defense gives you, and those checkdowns, sometimes the players have to be special, right? You have to figure out ways to get, create space and break tackles and all those types of things to make your quarterback look good.
As I look at these numbers, to me, this late in the season, this can't happen. When you want to be a playoff team, when you are fighting for a chance to secure your spot and establish yourself as an up-and-coming football team, offensively, 139 yards, 2.7 yards per play, 10 first downs in the entire game, and 1 for 11 on third down is not something that a playoff team does. In particular, at home, you can't allow that to happen because what that says to me, this is the kind of performance that you're going to get when you run into a playoff caliber team. And that's something as a football team we cannot allow to happen, in particular in front of our fan base, knowing that this is an opportunity for us to go in and secure a playoff spot. So as a team, you have to put every single thing on the table when you go back and you watch this film. And it can't be any protecting any feelings. It can't be, the players this. It has to be a collective effort. Everybody has to look at themselves in the mirror and say, how can I be better so that this doesn't happen again? Because at the end of the day, we had every opportunity to win that game yesterday. And when it came down to it, Seattle just flat out made more plays than we did, and they made it happen in times that we just couldn't make it happen. Whether, like Stu talked about, we were 1 for 11 on third down, but they converted some third downs. We know that the penalty happened with Jaycee Horn, but Seattle was trying to get off the field on a 3rd and 20, and they ran a toss sweep, and we don't get them off the field. Yeah. Like, those are hidden yardage and hidden plays that ultimately change the trajectory of the game that you don't really factor in, that you don't pay attention to. If we stop them on that play, what happens on the next punt? What happens on the next offensive possession? And I think that those are opportunities that we just missed as a football team.
Yeah. You talk about plays that change the trajectory of this game. The final score doesn't really, if you're just looking at the final score, it doesn't say it, but this game was 3-3 at the half. And then there were 2 notable plays that really kicked off the Seahawks scoring, and it were those 2 turnovers, which led to 14 points off of those 2 turnovers by Bryce Young and by Chuba Hubbard. Stu, what did you see from those turnovers?
You talk about taking the wind out your sail, right? It reminded me of the Falcons game earlier this year, but we were on the other side of that, right? Where you have short field advantage. When you turn the ball over on your own territory, you basically set up the offense for your opponent to have easy access. You never want to give people easy access to your home, right? The end zone is your home. Your side of the field is your home, and you're trying to enter their home. So giving the ball up, it just takes the wind out of your sail. It's a close game throughout the whole entire first half, and then you come out in the second half and you're making strides and trying to get the ball moving, and we just give it away. And that, again, TD said it, that's not how you set yourself up for success when it comes to playing playoff caliber teams. You have to be you have to have all cylinders rolling. And for the Carolina Panthers, we haven't seen this all year. We've seen them be a second half team. We've seen them be a second half finishing type caliber team. And this is just one of those things where the Seahawks were more disciplined. It's the little things, right? And guys, you see this right here. Zero comes up from behind, doesn't give up on the play. He finds work. And you just don't want to ever see, guys standing around looking at the ball carrier. Like that's one of the things that we always talked about when I was playing Masco. Coach Masco, the offensive line coach, like, hey, don't be looking at the ball carrier. If you're looking at the ball carrier, you're wrong, right? Go find work. And it becomes part of your DNA because, again, this is a Seahawks defense that has top 5 in a lot of categories within the NFL. So coming into this game, that you have to be on your P's and Q's, and we weren't.
TD, how much of those 2 turnovers were self-inflicted mistakes versus that Seattle defense just being really good at what they do?
You watch these turnovers, and the thing that strikes me on those turnovers is the fact that they came back to back, and that's deflating for a defense that had just given us the ball in Seattle's territory. We had just gotten the ball right there, so that was
the Mike Jaxson.
Yes. Yeah, with the Mike Jaxson play. So it was an excellent opportunity actually in our territory. I'm tripping, my bad, but it was an excellent opportunity because when you get in the red zone, defensively, the mindset is field goals and takeaways. And we were able to come away with a takeaway. So that's a momentum shift in the game. So go out, you have that happen, and then for us to come right back and give them the ball right back to back, I mean, it's very deflating as a defense, knowing that you got to go right back on the field after you just made something positive happen. But at the end of the day, offensively, we have to understand, like Stu talked about on that play with what's the kid name from Dallas? Zero. I forget his name, but he went and he was intentional about getting the ball out from Chuba. He went and he punched the ball out. And you don't see that enough from our defense. Like, we did create some turnovers, but plays like that don't just happen by chance. Yes, DeMarcus Lawrence, I drew a blank. But those plays don't just happen by chance. You have to go and be intentional about punching the ball out. And we don't do that enough defensively. We sit back and we wait till people take the game to us. And I think one of the things that really stood out from this Seattle team, time and time again, you saw those things happening. You saw them making attempts at it. You saw them coming up, tackling well. And our offense we have to understand that when things aren't going well, somebody has to be that leader for that group. And I don't see that leadership. I don't see anybody stepping up and saying, listen, all right, things didn't go well in the first half. Now we got to pick it up. You know, I don't see any group meetings on the sideline where everybody's calling everybody up and everybody's paying attention to detail on we got to go and we got to go right now. That's something that we used to do all the time as a team when things weren't going well for us defensively and y'all were clicking on all cylinders. We made sure that we picked our game up defensively.
You know, you spoke on, taking ownership. It's one thing to take ownership. We can do that all day. That's a grown man status, right? But to be a pro, you can't take ownership of something that's broken, right? You have to fix it. You have to fix it right there and then. You have to adapt. You have to figure out, all right, this was our game plan. We got hit in the mouth. Everybody has a plan until you get hit in the mouth, okay? Mike Tyson. And eventually, we have to learn how to punch back, right? We've been throwing jabs. We might need to throw an uppercut, right? We might need to take some shots. We might need to, offensively, come up with different schemes to get creative with getting guys open. Because obviously they were very strong in the middle. We were very strong in the middle too on defense. And what did they do? They attacked the perimeter, a running game, right? We started doing that a little bit and started finding some success on first downs in the third quarter, but we pulled away from certain things that work, right? And I think when you talk about getting creative in the passing game, what does that look like with getting, Jalen Coker the ball across the middle, right? I know they don't want you to do that. That's why they're stacking it up, right? They were stacking you. They stacking up that middle and they playing behind because they don't want you to see what's going on in the middle of the field. You attack that. You control the middle of the field, you win football games. That's why we were so good during our time, because Cam Newton was a run threat. We had the running game, and then you had Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen was a threat across the middle every single time. And if a linebacker goes with Greg, you have Ted Ginn coming across on that shallow, right? So you have to figure out different ways. Yeah, they're playing a certain defense that's preventative, and they're going to keep everything in front of you, but you got to figure out ways to get creative to get these guys the ball in space.
You just talked about that, getting creative, being able to push the ball downfield. That was something that the Panthers, as we know, were not able to do in this game. Here's what Dave Canales had to say about that.
They did a great job having discipline, staying deep on a lot of our concepts. I think what you saw is a lot of balls go to the checkdowns in different ways. They rallied up and tackled us really well. We didn't end up getting a lot of yards out of some of those checkdowns, but when they play it right and the defense plays from depth and they stay on top in discipline, it wasn't for a lack of trying. We called some passes try to go down the field, and they did a great job of making the ball get to the check down and rallied up and made some tackles.
So, you guys, look, these are the numbers of Seattle's defense being very, very good. They are good when it comes to facing any opponent, right? In terms of making sure that these opponents are not throwing the ball through the airs. Look at where they rank right there. And so, Stu, is the answer to the combating this right here what you just said in terms of you just have to get creative? You
have to get creative. I mean, you look at the week previous with the Seahawks. They played the Rams. And, yeah, they have a future Hall of Famer at quarterback, and they have Puka Nacua out there doing his thing, and he, rightfully so, right? He's a generational talent. But the same type of concepts that they ran, the quarterback had to stick in that pocket, and he had to take some hits and get that ball out. And they attacked the middle of the field, right? The deep crossing routes, the post, those types of things. You have to figure out a way to get the ball moving forward with guys running. We tried to do that with, getting, running backs out there in the swing and the flat and get them in space and running. But, that only works a couple times. You can't depend on that every single drive because the defense is playing for that, right? They want you to do that. And again, going back and looking at that Falcons game where we beat them 30-0, that's what we did to them. And we knew every play, whether the third down, second down, they were going to the swing. They're going to the flat area. And that's an easy setup for a defense to just come up there and make a routine tackle.
But one of the things, I hear what Coach Canales is saying, but one of the things that we have to understand as a football team, and defensive-minded, you can line up and you can try to force a team to do one thing, right? I'm going to try to force you to check the football down. But at some point, I have to make an attempt to throw the ball downfield to bring you out of that coverage. If I never attempt it, I'm going to sit in that game. I'm going to sit in my game plan the entire time until you threaten me.
Yeah.
If you never threaten me downfield, it's never going to make me uncomfortable enough to try to change what I'm doing. Like, if I never feel threatened at any point, why would I change anything? Right. So that's one of the things that we have to understand. Like, even if they have guys, this is a game of players making plays, and you got to give your playmakers an opportunity. Yeah, they're sitting in a particular coverage, but we have guys that are capable of going up top and coming away with the football. Yeah. Give them an opportunity. Give them a chance. And one of the things that our players have done and done poorly, in my opinion, is we try to make every catch, every throw a home run hitter. We don't just get the hidden yardage. Every single time, there's too many times where we catch the ball in the flats and we're running sideways. Mm-hmm. Or we catch the ball, or we get the ball as a runner and we're going towards the sideline too often. There's 5-6 hidden yards to me per play that these guys are leaving on the field, or maybe even 3 or 4 that we're leaving on the field because we're running sideways. Like, at what point do we take this film and say, hey, this play is not necessarily designed to go to the house. Yeah. Get us in third and short or second and short so that we can come up with another game plan, another play call, and we're not doing that enough.
Is that an easy fix by, to be able to correct by next week, let's say, for this game, or is that something that is a mindset?
To me, it's very easy to fix, but it has to be coached. It has to be coached. Something has to be said to where it's ingrained in the player's mind. If nobody ever says anything about it, if you continue to just let it fester, then it's going to become a hindrance. It's going to become something that's going to continue to bother you or continue to be a problem for us as the season continues to go on for however long it goes on. But at the end of the day, too many times we catch the ball, we're throwing it out to the flat late, then we catch the ball, and then we start going sideways. Yeah. Catch the ball and get what's there. Catch the ball and get what is given. Like, right before half, one of the things that bothered me in the game yesterday, I'm watching us operate. We had probably like 26 seconds. And Bryce takes off running. And when he took off running, he went sideways. And it took literally another 3-4 seconds off the clock by going sideways. At some point, we got to understand situational football. Boom, if you take off running in that situation, get down, get the first down, get down, and get to the line so we can spike the ball and have another opportunity at another play. Yeah. Like, those are the things that come with growth, it comes with maturity, and it comes with understanding, but it should also come with coaching. Yeah. You got to coach these guys up to understand situational football, and we don't understand that enough as a football team, in my opinion.
And when you talk about situational football, they were playing zone all game, right? So typically, if I'm a running back and I'm in space, I catch a ball over the center, right? OTB. If I know it's in zone, I know I have to get upfield. I'm not outrunning anyone because no one actually has me.
They're sitting and waiting.
They're just sitting there waiting, so I have to get north and south. Now, if it's man coverage, that's when I can run away, right? Now that's when I can figure out, oh, let me just get to the sideline and outrun him and then get upfield, right? So situationally, you know what the coverage is zone. So just get upfield. Take what the defense gives you.
Let's talk about this Panthers defense right now. You know, TD, you talked about some of the missed opportunities. We are going to talk about that. But overall, holding the Seahawks to just 3 points in the first half. And as we said, some of the points from the Seahawks in the second half coming off very short fields. How do you think this Panthers defense played overall in this game?
I think overall defensively, we did a great job against a very explosive offense. And time again, we put ourselves in position to win the football game. And it's only so long that you're going to keep an offense like Seattle off the field. Like, time and time again, we came away with big plays like you see Trayvon Merrick making right here. You see Rose Boom making plays in the backfield. But there were too many times where we should have made plays that we did not make.
Well, let's just go ahead and take a look at some of those, you know, and you see when their Panthers get their hands on the ball, typically you're coming away with that takeaway.
Exactly. And to me, that ended up becoming the difference in the game, because if we catch this interception, we get the ball at the very least on the 25-yard line, Fitzmagic is going to make that at least 3 points for us.
Yeah.
But we have the opportunity from the onset of the game right now to change the complexion of the game, to literally start out with points from a defensive standpoint, and we don't take advantage of it.
And Stu, I thought Derrick Brown had that ball.
Oh man, you know, it's a lot to ask for a big boy, right?
I mean, for anyone to be able to react like that, but then yes, that is not, you know.
But you know, he's in the right position, he's in the right space, right place at the right time, which means he's doing his job. I think when we talk about how the defense played, they did their job. They gave the offense a lot of chances to come away with, you know, some points, you know, as far as stopping this high potent Seahawks offense. And we just didn't do anything on offense, right? So, but I will say this, Mike Jack, that boy nice.
Yes.
That boy good. No?
He is.
And so they call him the king of pop in Seattle. Okay? And so he was out there playing. He did everything in my eyes as I was watching this game, he did everything right. You know, when he talked about contain in the run game, he contained. When he talked about, you know, making certain, you know, adjustments, you know, being in position to make plays on the ball when it was thrown his way, he did that. I mean, he was running routes. He ran this route for Jaxson Smith and Njigba.
Yes.
You know, he ran it for him.
He looked like the receiver, yes.
He looked like the receiver. So, you know, and obviously we didn't do anything on offense, you know, to say thank you for this pick, but you know, that is where, again, the word complimentary, we have to figure that out. And if you're on the offensive side of the ball and you're on the sideline, you see this defense week in and week out making progress the way they've been making progress and giving yourself an opportunity to go back on that field and be the yin to that yang. Like, until we figure that out, we will not win these tough games.
And TD, you know, we're looking at, you talk about that short field, defense can hold for so long, right? And then, you get into some of these situations and you're giving Seattle a really good opportunity to score off of some of these turnovers.
Yeah, you give them a chance to score, but at the end of the day, defensively, the mindset has to be it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where they get the ball at. We got to try to force them into attempting a field goal or potentially taking the football away. And until we go into it with that mindset, we're gonna continue to see those opportunities turn into touchdowns because the mindset is not there yet as a whole for the team. It might be a few guys that we see go out and play with the mindset of you spot the ball anywhere, we're going to stop you. And that's the kind of mindset we used to have, and Coach Rivera understood that. That's why he got that's where the Riverboat Run name came from, because he believed in his team. He believed in his defense. He believed that no matter where we go for it as an offense, my defense has my back.
Well, and I would say, Canales, I mean, they go for it on fourth down more than any other team. Yes.
Absolutely. And one of the things...
It's building. This confidence is building.
Yes. So to me, the coaches have that mindset, but the defense hasn't quite developed it yet. So once the defense develops the mindset that the coach has and everybody's on the same page, coach, go for it. It don't matter where you go for it at. If we fumble the snap, we got your back. You can go for it on our own 30. We got your back, coach, because we're gonna get the ball back, or we're gonna force them to a field goal attempt. And that's one of the things that we developed as a football team. And we had a quarterback that was 265, 270 pounds that we didn't mind, like, quarterback sneaking it on a third or fourth and short, because we knew that we had a good opportunity to convert that.
TD, we were just talking about some of the missed opportunities, some of those chances for interceptions. I do want to ask you, we saw it play on the video footage a little bit. I do want to ask you about the Jaycee Horn face mask call. It was 3rd and 21. That ended up resulting in a Seahawks field goal. What did you make of that?
I don't like the play call, honestly. I don't like the play call from a standpoint of it put too much strain on Jaycee to come up and make that tackle. That should have been a much easier tackle based on the play call, because to me, we sit in a soft cover 2 shell. If we sit in a cover 2 shell in that position, we're protected over the top, but also Jaycee is sitting right at the line of scrimmage. Now, obviously, Seattle probably throw a different play, but Jaycee is sitting at the line of scrimmage, and he comes up and he makes that tackle way easier. But now, to me, I think, I don't know the defensive call, but to me, it looked like he was playing a 3 shell where he had to get deep. Then he decided to come up, and he was straining to come up and try to make that tackle. But Jaycee understands he's taking ownership of it. You don't tackle that high ever. There's never a time where you go in and you're reaching at a player's head to make the tackle. You go, you aim low, and you force him to go out of bounds in that situation. It was just the unfortunate penalty at the worst time.
All right, let's talk about moving forward now. And you guys talked about this, and I loved hearing what you had to say in terms of taking ownership. And Stu, you said you can't just take ownership of what's broken. You have to have a plan for how to fix it. So after that game on Sunday in the locker room, or Monday when you're watching film, Stu, what are the conversations that are being had to say, okay, we have to learn from this game, but also we now have the biggest game of the season, the game that is going to decide whether or not we make it into the playoffs, up ahead?
Going back to that Jaycee play, right? The defensive call might have had him out of position. And whenever you find a defensive player reaching, right, he's wrong, right? If you're reaching, you're wrong. That means you're not playing with your feet. And Coach Rivera used to say, be where your feet are. And it meant 2 things, like mentally and physically. So, like, when you play with your feet, it means you're doing the little things right. You know what your assignment is, you know what your alignment is, and then you execute. I think going into this week, right, is do or die. You either going home or you going home to play football, which is what our case is. Playoff football is on the line, something that the Carolina Panthers have not seen in quite some time. And so when you talk about the things that you're going to address in meetings, we've addressed penalties after a Saints game. We addressed effort. We addressed, identity. Now it's just, hey, you got to go out there and execute. You got to put guys to the ground. If you're an offensive lineman, we're running duo, and we want to run duo 4 times in a row, and the defense knows it. You got to make sure that that defense is scared of you running duo, which means, hopefully we get Robert Hunt back. I know he was at practice last week, and if he comes back, that's a huge boost for us, right? Because he's a guy that finishes. He's a guy that thrives on, I don't want to just block the guy. I want to make him pay.
Yeah, we've seen him pancakes.
Block him up and make him pay. If you're an offensive lineman, if you're a receiver, go find work. Go dig out the safety. Go make sure that Rico doesn't have to deal with them, right? The little things. Go finish guys. Go be physical. Go be mean. Like, this is Tampa Bay. This is the Buccaneers, and they're in your way from getting to the Buccaneers or getting to the playoffs. So, to me, it's not, the X's and O's. It's like, hey, do you want to be here next year? Because this is evaluation time as well, right? Every game in the month of December has been basically a playoff caliber team, right? And game, right? So.
And they've needed them. Needed them, yes.
And we're addressing not just what this season looks like, but what is the offseason going to look like? What is next year going to look like? We're going to look at what's real, and we're going to look at what's fake. And whatever's fake has got to go. And so don't be one of those guys that's on that fake list.
On the fake list. TD, when the Panthers win one, lose one, of course, we, the fans, whoever, have a tendency to react to, it's always, what have you done for me lately, right? Yeah. But we heard Derrick Brown in the locker room. This team has the mentality that you guys are talking about, that you guys played with. We heard Derrick Brown in the locker room yesterday say, if you don't think this matters to us, you don't know us, right? It is all about this next game. This team is within striking distance of, they control their own destiny. They're within striking distance of going to the playoffs as the division winner. So moving forward, how much does that excite you? This is what you play for. You wish it had happened earlier, but this is what you play for, right, TD?
It's extremely exciting. Coming into this season, we had a lot of expectations and a lot of high hopes. The people in this building and around this city did. Not a lot of people on the outside expected the Panthers to be sitting in first place at this position and this point in the season. This matters so much to you. So you're watching extra film. You're correcting the things that you didn't do right. You're looking at the things that happened against Tampa the last game at home, knowing and understanding that they're going to be a different team. They're going to be fired up because they're going to have the same energy from their home crowd that you had when you played them. So you got to be in tune to that. There's going to be a different element of weather that's going to play a factor because every single time we play Tampa in December, in Tampa, it is always hot. So you got to make sure you're hydrating.
Oh.
It's so many things that goes into playing this game, but there's so much excitement as a competitor that you just got to love football in December in the NFL, man. It gets no greater than this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, meaningful football. That's what we all want, right? And we're finally there. Take advantage of it, right? See how good you can get. That's why we play this game. We play the game to see how good can I get? How bad can I beat this guy, right? The guy across from me, how bad can I whoop him? And I can't wait to see it on film.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, let's talk about the Monday Night Football game. So usually we ask you guys to make your picks. We're not going to do that for 2 reasons. First of all, nobody can catch Al Wallace when it comes to analysts. He has won the season analyst pool of Monday Night picks. But second of all, it's Rams at Falcons. We both know who you guys would pick if it weren't. Because, look, the Falcons, it's weird to say this as a Panthers fan, but if the Falcons win out, the Panthers could lose out and still claim the division. So that is the other scenario besides just beat Tampa Bay in Week 18. If the Falcons win their next 2 games, the Panthers, regardless of what happened, would be the NFC South champ. But guys, that's not how you want to win it, but you'll take it, and certainly all eyes will be on this game right here.
I'm taking it. Look, bring that camera over here. Bijan Robinson. Bijan. I need you to go absolutely crazy for the next 2 or this tonight and next week because you're doing us a favor. And technically, you owe us, right? Because we beat y'all twice, and so like you owe us. That makes no sense.
Let's let him go.
We own the Falcons situation here, so you got to do what we ask you to do. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you don't like the Saints. I mean, you don't like the Bucs either, Bijan.
But really and truly, though, this is how that's why the NFL is so special. Because these types of instances where you get to the end of the year and anything can happen. I look at how we got to the playoffs at 6-9-1, right? We got to the playoffs at 6-9-1.
7-8-1.
7-8-1.
Yeah.
Still 7-8-1. Yes.
A losing record. But we had our focus. We believed in ourselves. We played the Minnesota Vikings, and from that moment on, we're like, hey, we were some suckers today. Well, we ain't gonna be no suckers going forward, right?
Man,
I think you have to and I think, you got Derrick Brown, you got Jaycee Horn, you got the guys in that locker room that are already speaking that into existence.
Yes.
And I absolutely feel no matter what happens with the Falcons, I think we're gonna get the job done on Saturday when we face the Buccaneers.
You said the same thing when you walked in, TD, today.
I have no doubt. I just feel like from a standpoint of certain matchups, and to me in this league, matchups matter. And I feel like we match up very well against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I feel like we are a team that's destined to make the playoffs, and this is our year. This is our year. This is our year to go and get it done. And the one-on, one-off thing, it has to change after this week. Losing one, winning one. So we lost this one, we're going to win the next one, and then the playoffs start. That's a whole new season. So that regular season stuff of win one, lose one, that's over with. We're going into the playoffs. We're going to host a playoff game, and that starts a whole new streak. And when we host games here in the playoffs, we usually do a pretty good job of making sure that we win those. So the mindset has to change. Like Bryce talked about it, we've already entered our playoff run, so we got to go out and we got to start playing like this is the playoffs. It's a win or go home situation. So either you want to win or you want to go home. That's what it is.
Yep. Now, don't be bipolar this week.
No. We do not want that. Well, guys, I want to thank you.
Weather has been.
I want to thank you both. I feel like you were so candid. I feel like we all learned a lot from having this conversation. We're excited about this game. So just a reminder, you can catch us on the Avenue later this week. You can see me and TD on the Panthers Huddle, and you can see us next week on the Panthers Postgame Show, where we are hopefully talking about a big win over Tampa and going to the playoffs. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.